Welcome back to Daybreak. We are still discussing matters that are affecting the political situation in the country, of course, coming from the threats, or rather the reports that the life of Deputy President is under threat, has been threatened, and the DCI is now investigating, of course, still waiting for the Deputy President to record a statement. There have been officials of the DCI that have been assigned to get that statement from the Deputy President. Also to welcome J.M. Divo, an advocate of the High Court, former magistrate. Karibu sana to the show. We've been with Gladys Shelley, woman representative for Uasin Gishu, Rosa Buyu from Kisumu County, woman representative, as well as Sabina Chege from Murang'a County. And we were talking about the reports that we saw yesterday of the DP's life. And CS is going to record statements, and we wanted to move on to the next topic. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on how possible that kind of a plot can be among cabinet secretaries who sit in the same government in the same cabinet with the deputy.
Possible is a very elastic word. In Kenya, we have seen many political assassinations from Gapinto, Robert Ouko, Masinde Muliro. So it is a possibility. Is it one of those things that I would particularly ascribe to this particular group? I cannot be cross-examined on that because I was not privy to what they said. But if somebody has said, I am in reasonable fear for my life, I agree with what the panelists have said. It's not something to take lightly. The person of the DP may be playing politics. The office of the DP, though, is such that we have to take it seriously enough to at least take a second look. And if nothing is found there, well, so be it. Let it be revealed that investigations were done and there is nothing there. However, in Kenya, we have seen men die for less. And in the current political climate that is so hostile and so charged, forget even if it was the DP making a comment, even Honorable Sabina, if tomorrow she said, by the way, my life is under threat, I would expect the DCI to take it with a measure of seriousness. In the current political climate, however, you have to look at it with the lens of, could it be playing to the public gallery? That is also a possibility. So in the current scenario, I wish now the rest of us would just, you know, relegate it to bar talk, but let the DCI do something about it and come out and tell us what they found out. Because it would be foolhardy if we decide, this is just a political sideshow, and then something actually happens at DP. Where do we start then? Or if we decide, okay, we are building political capital, then let it get spent. If all is being is political capital, 3 years is a long time. How long are you going to ride this wave? So let DCI do their job and let them table what they find out and make it public. All right.
I want us now to move to the next topic, that is to do the situation within the Jubilee Party. And I think the best way to get into it is... we've seen, yes, let's dance into it. Well, let's just see.
Not us, but let's... Well...
Just hold on.
Oh mama tetema, aya twende tetema. Oh mama tetema, shuka chini tetema. Oh mama tetema.
Tetema, yani kama umepigwa shoti. Tetema, ipe miganisho ya roboti. Tetema, ukutani hadi kwenye kochi. Tetema, kwenye giza sana wamama hai.
Hatutishiki hiyo kiuno tingiza. Kiuno.
Tetema, yani kama umepigwa shoti. Tetema, ipe miganisho ya roboti. Tetema, ukutani hadi kwenye kochi.
Hakuna tuletea nye. Tetema.
Mboga, oh mama, ay mama, shigidi, nakufa, hoi, wikidi,
Okay, so all right, so
a dance off. No.
No, wait a minute. Some of those women you see, I don't know which side. Okay, I don't know which side.
Left, right.
Those wearing white and pink,
yes,
and those wearing maroon, most of them belong to the same party. It is the symbol of division within the Jubilee Party. Now we have calls that we need to sack the Secretary General because of a leaked conversation. People are not saying eye to eye, Tanga versus Kieleweke. Mheshimiwa Sabina Chege. Yes. So according to you, what's the state of Jubilee Party and how can you salvage the situation from what it is now?
We know there's a Kikuyu saying that says when the house is being built, there's a lot of noise. And when it's silent, then nothing is happening.
Jubilee is being built 3 years
into
elections.
And it's good that we went through an election. And of course, Jubilee the journey started from 2013, where His Excellency, the President, the Deputy President came together and for the peace of this nation and the harmony, especially between the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus, they came up together. And we had peaceful elections 2013. Fast forward 2017, of course, we went through an election, a repeat one. And of course, Akina Rosa and the ODM team made our work very hard from 2013 to 2017 and even after. And so with the wisdom that God gave the president, he found it prudent to reach out to the ODM side, to especially Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, so that we can have peace in this country. And I think that's how was the handshake was born. And from the reports from last week from the public, Kenyans are happy that we have peace. And myself, I will say, from where I sit eventually in Parliament, we are not having any unnecessary drama, and we are able to even move, and we are working very closely together with the other team. But, people have ambitions, and of course, even in Jubilee, there's a lot of suspicion. And this suspicion now has caused what you have seen today. The ladies in white, which and I belong to Embrace, and I think Rosa is also there.
Oh, I definitely do.
And that is a team of women who we said we are not interested in the political narrative. And we want to come together as women of this nation, go and support each other when we are doing our development, and talk to our people about peace of this nation. And so that's why the name came in as Embrace. Somebody somewhere sat and thought this is a group to fight a specific individual, and then they decided to get other ladies, trying to divide us as women. And I think if you listen to the narrative of the other group, they are just attacking the individuals. And very sad that women would go and stand at a podium to attack other women.
At the end of the day, Embrace will not be used as a political weapon.
No, it is not. And if you actually listen to the conversations of Embrace, we do not attack anyone. Neither do we try to rubbish. We talk to women about peace, about harmony in this nation, and especially about development. And for me, allow me, because this was in Muranga, even when they came in, they tried very hard even to tell the women about how to embrace the women leadership in this nation. And so our focus is not on trying to trash anyone, on trying to really talk down about anyone, or pushing anybody political agenda. For us, we are really in support of people coming together in this nation. That's why in Embrace, you will see there are ladies from the ODM, from Wiper Party, others are independent, others are PDR, others are Jubilee. Yes. And we try very hard to avoid any political or even a showdown, or trying to, especially to fight another woman.
All right. Honorable Shirley, let me rope you into the conversation. There have been events that have threatened the splitting of Jubilee Party. We've seen a number of them. A number of your own colleagues have sat here. They've given examples from the handshake itself to the lack of bromance relationship between the DP and Uhuru. We saw it there when they were beginning, holding hands, and now it's not. It's a different script. They seem to be reading a different script. The president himself goes and says, "Listen, we need to stop campaign mode." His deputy is on tour as we speak. Is the Jubilee Party, the ruling party, the majority party, splitting? Are we seeing the end of it?
No, I wouldn't say that Jubilee is splitting, but I think what is happening is something that is very normal in politics: alignments and realignments. That is what happens. If you remember that President Kibaki left his own party and formed another party mid-term, and ran on a second term on a different party. The same thing happened when the first time that Uhuru and Ruto ran, they ran as URP and as TNA, and then they realigned later. Before the second term, they were now Jubilee Party. So that is very normal in politics. Remember, there was LDP, then there was the merging with KANU and coming out. So I think this is politics. That is how it works. It should never be stationary at any one time. And I think if you're looking for peace and quiet and calm in politics, then that is not politics. That is the reality. And when I look at what is happening now with the two groups, as you have shown us there on the TV, people caucus. People who are like-minded and believe in something caucus together. Even in Parliament, we have many caucuses. I belong to the Human Rights Caucus, then I belong to the agenda for pushing for certain legislation, and so on. So people are in different caucuses within politics, and that is actually normal, and it's also should do it as a leader. Yeah, and even with this, when it's happening, I wouldn't look at it negatively. When I looked at the two groups, I said to myself, for the first time, women are coming out and taking a position. It doesn't matter. They're visible now. You can see that there is clearly one group that has an agenda on embrace, which is good for the country.
It's an interesting
And then there is the other way to look at it. So women are getting visibility. I like that. I've watched the women's movement for over my career.
Let me ask you.
On this one, I said, because before, when you would look at any picture of a position being taken in the country, it would be men. I'm very happy that I'm seeing it is women. And they are actually ruffling feathers, and people are paying attention. So it is, I look at it very, very positive.
Mheshimiwa, if you were to dance in that queue, how would you be?
Sorry?
If you had to dance in that queue, where would you be? Embrace or the other
She'd be white.
No, I'll tell you something. For me, I support both groups. And I know I have a lot of respect for both Rosa and Sabina. I work with them very closely. In fact, with Sabina and I, the other day, were rated as the best performing women representatives in Parliament. Yes, I see eye to eye with her on many things. And also, the women who are in Kilifi, the ones you have shown there, I work with them very closely.
So you don't have an affiliation with that Tanga
because I'm not, because for me, I'm not that kind of person. If I believe in something, I will work with you, and I can work with anyone. So I never say that I will, one day you're going to see me in an embrace function, and the other day you're going to see me in the other, what is it called, the other one?
I don't know.
The maroon and gold?
I don't know.
Yes? Yeah, and believe me, you're going to see me clad in those clothes.
Rosa, just before you go, you're saying that it is healthy politics, it's normal politics, but we see Kipchumba Murkomen, the leader of majority of the Senate, he's saying that we are officially on autopilot, and I believe this comment came after the reports at the DCI, and then he goes ahead to, he has turned spiritual. He says that for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. That he's quoting 2 Timothy 1:7. So in as much as
we.
And by the way, and that's the other thing about politics. We always don't have to have the same opinion. Yeah. That's why we are different people. But even your own children in the house.
Let's get to the point. Kipchumba Murkomen is the leader of majority at the Senate. So he sits at the National Executive Council of the Jubilee Party. And as much as you say this is healthy, it talks of split. How good
I don't think he was
it?
Speaking on behalf of Jubilee. I think he was just making.
That's why I asked who is we when he says we.
Sorry?
What has he said about the split?
He says that we are officially on autopilot.
Yes.
Who is we?
Okay, first of all, let me take this on. Unlike my friend Honorable Shulei, I don't sit on the fence. If I believe in something,
I'm not
I
on
go
the fence.
for it. So there'll be no time where I can be here, and it is okay because I work with both. I believe in the peace and unity and inclusivity of this country, and I believe that's what's best for the country, and that's why I choose to.
I don't
be on
think the other
embrace
group is
side.
preaching against peace
No,
and against.
I don't have to finish.
Give me time.
I don't have to
Give me
finish.
time. So, at no time, even when I wake up from my sleep, I know which side I'd be dancing on. I'd be wearing white dress and a pink flower, because that stands for peace, that stands for unity, that stands for inclusivity, which is what this country needs. Embrace has absolutely nothing to do with politics, and that's why you have different political parties coming together as women and as members of parliament to preach that peace and unity and inclusivity. Why? Because with any turmoil, it is the women who suffer the most, whether it's through watching their children suffer or through pain inflicted on them through rape, etc. So women decided that if the handshake has taken place, we must take this handshake a step further, away from President Uhuru and Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, right to the grassroots, to the people, so that we can enhance the handshake, because it is good for this country. Now, just give me a minute. That is where we are. So, I don't know what the other group stands for, but I want to say that the handshake or embrace is not supposed to divide women at all. It is for all women, in private sector, in whatever politics, where it is for all women across the country. Okay? And that is good. And I like what Gladys is saying, that for the first time, women are setting the agenda of the country. Because what people are talking about now is embrace and the other team, whatever it is, women are coming to the fore. And that is good for this country. And that is good for the politics of this country.
Right. Joy, being an observer, watching inside, outside, whether you're team Tanga Tanga, Kileweke, whether you support person X, political Y, party, whether it's the handshake, whether it was good or bad, at the end of the day, it seems here as a country we cannot politic while still doing development. Development seems to be pegged on our politics. A classic example was this weekend in your backyard in Wasigishu, the reopening of Rivertex, and other projects had stalled. We had to usher them again with the visiting of President Uhuru Kenyatta? Can we not have development while politicking?
It is President Moi who is the professor of politics who said, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. If you want politics to work for you, if you want development to work for you, your politics better align. Those stars have to align.
But it's not the case in Kenya.
No, that's how it happens in Kenya. That's how we ended up with what we keep calling historical injustices, is that the places that voted appropriately received appropriate development commensurate with their support for the government, and that's what we're trying to break away from, because that was wrong politics. That was not how we're supposed to do politics. But when I look at Jubilee Party, it's a very curious scenario. It actually proves the saying that says nature abhors a vacuum. Because if this was 5 years ago, this would have been where the space ODM would have been occupying, of agitating and imploding, and because that was the narrative, to keep people engaged. But now that ODM has taken a seat and is on the train towards development, we find there are people who are wondering, by the way, what do we do with this space? What are we going to do with it? And it's very curious for Jubilee Party, because you would imagine that their first priority, as the president has said, would be to help him deliver on his mandate. Instead, it's busy imploding. I find it it's mind-boggling, actually. It's almost ridiculous. If you think about it, when we had our first term of Jubilee, every time ODM would protest by not participating, what did we see? CSs sailing through parliament with barely any vetting. We had a time when they had the majority, so the laws that they needed to pass were passing. And it seemed like, by the way, for a person who's in the ruling seat, that was a sweetheart deal. But what happened in the second term? For some reason, because the president decided to join hands with Honorable Raila, then it seemed like he had declared war on this other side. I wish the president had very early on taken the opportunity to bring his troops to order and tell them, look, this is what we are doing.
All right, but George,
this is where we are headed.
And
but because he squandered that opportunity, now it's coming back to bite him.
So from where you stand, do you see whether President Uhuru Kenyatta will deliver on his mandate, his promises that he made to Kenyans, given he only has 3 years left at the helm? He has, his own party seems to be divided. Now cabinet secretaries, with this new announcement, the executive doesn't seem to be singing one song. Will President Uhuru Kenyatta still deliver to Kenyans?
And that's where I was headed. For a person who is in his position, you're in your legacy term, I would have expected him to ensure that at least his party is going in the same direction as him, because he needs laws passed. But if you've got a parliament where your own party that has the majority is split, allow me to juxtapose this with what happened in the UK. When Theresa May got into power, she had a large majority. She could be able to pass whatever law she needed to pass with Brexit with ease. But something told her to call a snap election. And she did. And she lost her majority. And she spent the rest of the time trying to salvage her career and then see how it ended up. And that's what I see happening with President Uhuru right now, where you're in your legacy term, you're supposed to be going to the home stretch, you actually have the numbers to do it, but you're allowing people in your party to sabotage your progress, because the president will not do what needs to be done personally. He needs his troops to rally together. So and this is the point at which I would want for him, at least, to ensure that Jubilee starts singing from Angalao, even if not the same song book, let them sing the same song. And that's why when he keeps saying development, it needs to resonate.
You saw they're dancing to the same song, just different dancing styles.
For the record, that song is like absolutely ridiculous. It should never be played again with women on leaders on.
But they are the ones who are dancing. That's what they've chosen to do.
Can I say this? What I see, I'm not a member of Jubilee, but what I see happening to Jubilee is, and I'm really sad for Kenyans, when Honorable Sabina says that it takes time to build up. If 2 years after elections, Jubilee is still building itself, and yet this is the ruling party that's supposed to deliver Kenya or deliver the big four in the next 3 years, then that is quite a shame. But what's happening in Jubilee is this. It's an alignment that was formed out of almost nothing. Okay, it's an online. It's almost like the relationships that we have now. A young girl meets a young boy. They know nothing about one another. They don't have strong foundation or bond between them, and they get married in a flash wedding. And after 1 year, it's all over. Why? they really didn't have any connection. They didn't believe in the same thing. That's what's happening to Jubilee now. The two leaders, the president and the deputy president, got together out of necessity without having similar convictions. After 5 years, you just discover that, hey, this is going too bad.
Is there any political conviction in this country?
And this is what we are... No.
Even within NASA?
No. I'm not talking... We are talking about Jubilee, yes? And if you're talking about Jubilee, it doesn't necessarily mean you must talk about NASA. So we are discussing Jubilee now because it's the ruling party.
But you're talking about politics and politicians.
Yes, but you just asked about Jubilee and the split in Jubilee. So I'm talking about Jubilee. So what happened is that two did not have similar convictions in terms of politics. They didn't believe in the same thing. And that is clearly playing out now. One wanted power, and probably one wanted unity, one wanted cohesiveness, one wanted inclusivity, and because those two just do not tie, you see the conflict playing out.
Should we kiss goodbye any development promises?
Let me just say,
I think
should we kiss goodbye development promises?
Unfortunately, that's what it looks like. Like 3 years down the line, 3 years to go, I don't think we're going to experience or benefit from the promises that they gave, because
3 years is a long time in politics.
It is a long time, but remember the development and the progress is also takes a long time to come by. It's not like you wake up tomorrow and you realize it. It's work in progress, and 3 years might not be enough for us to realize some of the promises that they gave us.
You mentioned something. You mentioned something and said, is there anything called conviction in Kenyan politics? But I think Kenya is a very unique country. You don't have a situation like the US where there's Republicans and there's Democrats. And that you stick to you're born a Republican, your family has been Republican for generations and so on. That's not the way it is in Kenya. That is why we moved from NAC to ODM to Rainbow Coalition. I mean, it's always changes. And then it split. There was Ford 1, then there was Ford 2, and so on. That is the nature of our politics. In fact, political parties in Kenya are vehicles for an election. They mean nothing. That is why you find that during Moi's time, he moved from his own political party, from KANU merged with LDP. During Kibaki's time, he moved from Rainbow Coalition, and then NAC, and then he formed PNU. And then you look at the same thing, TNA, then he moved to URP. So this, I always tell myself, when something happens, you look back at history. History shows us this is very normal in Kenya.
All right, Mheshimiwa Sabina, the two of you come from the same...
So even if Jubilee splits, it's very normal.
Okay, you come from the same political party. She says that it's normal. But is there a burning interest to really resolve the situation, the crisis within the party?
I think we can resolve. I just wanted to pick from what I had mentioned earlier, that this is a house that is being built. That is why there's a lot of noise. I didn't say that we are still trying or struggling to build. When a house is being built, it's a process. And of course, from 2013, the issue of unity and national cohesion came up with His Excellency the President and his deputy. And 2017, that's why we didn't have a split, unlike what happened between Kibaki and Raila. When it got to 2007, already there was clear-cut split. And so I would give credit to both the president and his deputy that they managed to sail even by 2017 and uniting this nation. And now where we are, where we have a president who has a very good heart, when they went for this handshake, you know, not all of us were involved. And I would tell you, there's NASA, there's Jubilee, and of course Jubilee has a deputy president, then NASA has all the others, like Kalonzo and the likes. The president has a very good heart. And he decided, let's continue uniting the nation. And what I am seeing in Jubilee, some people were either not prepared for that, or there was a shock, or now there's a lot of...
some people?
It's several members. It's not only just, I don't want to name one person. Because you can clearly see what I've read even from the people who come from my region, there's a lot of suspicion. What would be the end game? Is there something that is hidden? And I think the president has come out clearly to say, this is what I want. I want to unite Kenyans. But there are people who are saying, like, this is something that somebody wants to use the back door to come in and, you know, sabotage Jubilee. And again, because we have history in Kenya of people who have been brought in, you know, for unity or whatever purposes that were at that time, and they came and caused havoc in a party, that is a suspicion. But I want to actually beg my colleagues who are in Jubilee, that it's good we give the president the benefit of doubt. And I have stayed with the President Uhuru Kenyatta, and he means well for this country. And it's good for us, for once, we shield our, all of us want to be at a particular point, and especially for 2022, we have ambitions. I have my own ambitions.
But will his legacy be President Uhuru was a nice president? Kenyans want to see development.
His legacy, one, is that he has united.
The president who united
he has united
Kenyans.
Let me tell you, peace, sometimes we take it for granted. We take it for granted that our businessmen can operate in any part of this nation without somebody coming in and burning up your shop or even chasing you away. Let me tell you, peace is paramount in this nation. And I think we have seen countries that surround us. We have seen what is happening to them when they don't have peace.
Yes.
So for me, I want to give it to the president for bringing peace. And I think all he needs to do is for them. There's that the smaller team that sits. I think we need to stop the sabotage within, because that's what I've seen. We have a lot of sabotage within. We also have the troops who are rallying either behind the president or the deputy president, trying to send signals.
Right.
When you say we are on autopilot, what are you trying to say?
All right, we need to
let us stop. We are sending so many signals. If IAS have been a goal, and I'm, of course, a very strong supporter of the president, there are some things I would say, and they will cause suspicion. I think both the president and his deputy, need to call their troops into order.
Allow me to ask you this
them,
question.
Yes.
You said that you're a strong supporter of the president. When did it change that you're now a strong supporter of the president and not?
I've always been.
And you don't say the same about the deputy president. When did that change?
I support Jubilee. The presidency, we have the deputy and we have the president himself. But when it comes to what the president has ordered us to do, and I want to give an example. We were with Wanga in Muranga. And she says she was one of the highest critic of His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta. She actually poured water to the speaker, who was a lady, which was a very bad show. But she says when the former Prime Minister called his team and said, now we need to work together. We need to have this handshake. She said, I shielded all my other things and I followed to the letter the instruction from my party leader. What we have lacked with Jubilee, our party leader has told us this is the best way for this country. But we seem some of us are not satisfied, and we want now to start the sideshows and the fights, and we want to send signals, under the table. And it's very sad when we see people being hypocrites. Right. When you see people standing and telling the president, blessed are the people who unite, and then they say, we are behind you, we are listening to you, and then they go opposite the same day or even the following day, do something direct opposite to show that they don't even respect what the president has directed. And we really need to be true to ourselves.
Our time is up and I need to get closing comments. I'll begin with Joy coming all the way down. Joy, even just to pick up on what Sabina has said, Honorable Sabina Chege has said, question is it sustainable? The peace that she's talking about that President Uhuru Kenyatta has brought in, the unity, etc. Is it sustainable to see development in this country? Kenyans want hospitals, roads, food, security.
And even that peace, everybody wants that peace. And sometimes when I listen to politicians, even the conversation around this table, that this is the group that wants peace, I don't know what this other group wants. For me, I find it disturbing, because I'm thinking, which are these Kenyans who actually don't want peace? It doesn't matter which side of the political divide you're on. Peace works for all of us. I mean, if you've traveled to other countries, you go to Burundi, you go to Liberia, you see how a shell of a country looks like when people are trying to rebuild. It's not funny. It's not a walk in the park. When people pedal around, we need a revolution in Kenya. I look at it, I'm like, go ask the people of Libya how they're enjoying the revolution right now. We talk in Kenya as if there's this pie in the sky that if we just bring down this chaos and get rid of all these politicians. Ask the Egyptians how hard they've had to work to bring back some form of sanity after they got rid of Muammar for Hosni Mubarak. Kenyans need to be very careful, and politicians especially need to be very careful. You are happy, we are happy for you to align as you Kenyans, politics is a national pastime. We thoroughly enjoy watching you over the weekend. All the dances and everything, it makes our day. But there are some things that should be non-negotiable.
All right.
And if we're going to have what you're talking about, the progress, the development, it's time for Paul to put on the big boy pants and to do the work for which we elected them and are paying them for.
Honorable Shelley?
Yeah, but I think what is happening is healthy. Like I said, I'm positive about it. Women are taking their space, and I don't think any group is preaching war. I think both of them are preaching peace. Both of them are preaching development. They actually have the same...
But there are more than one group. There's also Timwanjiko. There's a man coming up every day.
As long as there's not a group that is trying to destroy Kenya, then I don't think there is a problem with the different groups. I think they can be there. And most importantly, political formations have always come out of an event or a process or something.
All
if you
right.
think what built William Ruto, it was the no campaign. He showed that he could garner 2.8 million voters by himself. And then, if you remember, what created the ODM? It was orange versus banana. That is what actually created them.
Okay.
So all this has been, these are creations, and they're actually very, we'll be writing, in 2 years' time, we're going to be talking that this formation came, and that formation did not come.
So wait for the offspring of whatever is happening.
Yes.
I need to cut you short so that you take closing remarks from Rosa Boyo.
I'd just like to say that
yes.
indeed Kenyans want to build schools. Kenyans need health institutions, etc. All those things you're talking about. But we must understand that Kenyans cannot achieve any of that if there's no peace. And we've seen that. We've seen just how much our economy went down when there were all those demonstrations and riots. So peace is paramount to any of those things you're talking about. But I'd also like to say that indeed people change parties. But despite the fact that we change political parties, there are convictions. And the best person or the best example I'd like to give is Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. He's changed parties. But if you are asked today, what does Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga stand for? You'd be able to say it. That is the conviction I'm talking about.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you change parties as vehicles to get to where you want, but you must stand for something.
All right. Finally.
As I pick from there, we just want to say Kenya is bigger than all of us. And I think if we don't have peace in this country, we'll all suffer. And I just want to say that we need to drop the hypocrisy. We cannot be preaching, water and drinking wine. And if somebody is so uncomfortable with within the Jubilee Party and you're not comfortable, ship out, stop your hypocrisy.
Wow.
And finally, what I will say, that peace is non-negotiable. Let us, walk the talk. Let's not stop pretending here, where we stand and say this is what we believe in, but when we go back to our backyard, we are preaching something different.
Okay.
I won't repeat again. Kenya is bigger than all of us. It doesn't matter what my interest is or the other person, but let's think about Kenya first.
All right, let's take a look at some of the feedback on what you've been saying on Twitter, Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag is Daybreak, as well as on SMS line 22422. If you can begin with the first one. Tony Kemboy from Nakuru, the meeting may be completely innocent and professional, but it is possible that some participants mentioned eliminating the DP politically, but was misreported. So we'll never know. We won't know at that meeting.
I'm still on SMS. Ken, you say it is so sad when CSs are accused of death threats. Leaders should be cautioned what they say to public, because their words of mouth can tear our country into pieces. May God forbid.
All right, someone else on SMS line, Roche John from Homa Bay. Why the sudden switch from Tuju's resignation to DP's assassination? What does the broken faction of Jubilee really want? Someone wants to cripple the presidency and run away with sympathetic. Someone else?
Okay, still on SMS, 22422 is the SMS line. You don't say who you are. I think someone has realized there is no one strong enough to challenge the DP in the next election, and they are frustrated, resulting to this sorry avenue.
The final SMS, this is Peter Nyakundi from Nyamira. Threats to kill are serious allegations and always need close seriousness by the DCI office, but the hasty is always frustrated in the courts, where the evidence found is exchanged with money within the corridors of courts. Let's wait and see. No one has a right to threaten anyone's life. I wish my Deputy President the best. We take a look at some of their tweets, just a few of them, so that we close. Citizen TV Kenya, Engineer Lazaro, big no. Someone of DP caliber can't just go public with such malicious statement. I think his camp is only trying to divert people's attention and to draw some sympathy and to force government to boost his security detail.
All right, still on Twitter, hashtag Daybreak is our official Twitter hashtag. It's high time we Kenyans be extra careful. Ignore politicians and their moves. Make them accountable for our country development. Why plan to assassinate the deputy? I don't believe in this. Only God knows what motive is behind these allegations.
So quite a varied feedback. Finally, yes, Square. Well, the small groups that are coming up daily is what is dividing Kenyans. Let's remain calm and in one union. I think that's the point that we leave it. Thank you so much. Sabina Shega from Murang'a County, Rosa Boyo from Kisumu County, Gladys Shole from Uasin Gishu, and Jem Divo From Nairobi.
Thank
you so much for making time for us. Up next, we will speak to the outgoing chairperson of the Youth Fund, that is Ronnie Osumba. He's coming to speak about the challenges that the Youth Fund has been facing. You know that Youth Fund is transitioning to Biashara Fund?
Yes.
Biashara Kenya Fund?
There we go.
It has not been approved yet
but
by the committee I chair.
It stands a chance of being
Yeah, so we are waiting for the CS to bring it. Because I was quite surprised he was making remarks about it, yet it has not come before the committee.
Okay, that's an important point, so we'll be talking about that shortly after. Thank you so much, and stay tuned to Daybreak.
Nikishinda kama milioni 5 naweza nunua ka pickup, nifanye na biashara, at least nitoke kwa hii gari ya mguu mbili na nijinue kimaisha.
Bonyeza *487*1# upate nafasi ya kujishindia milioni 5.
Milioni 5 hainipiti. Hii milioni 5 mimi naichukua.
Usipitwe, jipange na view sasa. Ni 10 bob tu.
We are the home of the latest entertainment, alluring viral content. If it's hot, you know it will be 10 over 10 with the wild Willis Raburu on Fridays. Only on Citizen Television. 10 over 10, connecting people with Nokia.
Natumia storobong kusema vile we ni dong na beat vile inagong, hebu sifika kwa hingo. Natumia
Jesus, you love me too much, oh, too much, oh, too much, oh, excess love, oh.